God says, I've given you all authority to pray. I've given you all authority to go. That's what the word decrees in Matthew 10. He says, you are to go, lay hands on the sick, they will recover, raise the dead. The Lord is calling you to arise and to shine, for the light has come. For His glory is not only around you, but it is in you. God wants you to know you have destiny. This is our finest hour that we are entering into. Jesus came so that we would have the fullness of who He is. We take the deliverance and the power and the authority of Jesus Christ in and bring the light in. Hi, I'm Angela Greenick. I'm going to welcome you today to The Awakening. I am really excited. I am back in the Netherlands, and for most people who don't know where that is, that's Holland. They don't get the name right, but I'm here with a wonderful young man that I've met and known. His name is Quintin. Tell everybody who you are and what you're about. So, yeah.
Yeah, so my name's Quintin. I'm 17 years old, and about half a year ago, I gave my life to Jesus, and before that, I was like, I hung out a lot on the streets, and I used to use drugs. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, and I used to hang out with, not very people who didn't really have a good influence on me, and so I used to be on the streets always, and it was really, really bad stuff we did. So and then I didn't really have hope anymore, you know. So I was kind of getting depressed a little bit, and so I was like, what if this Jesus, like my parents always took me to church, and I was like, what if this Jesus, where my parents always told me about, what if that's the one who I need? What if that guy can give me the thing I need? What if he is my hope? So
wow, that's powerful right there. Wait a minute. So you're raised in a Christian family.
Yeah.
But you still went and did your own thing.
Yes, I did.
Because there was a part of you missing who Jesus was, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you get to that place sometimes in your life where you lose all hope. So keep going here. This is good though. This is important because you know, you have very strong Christian background, family, grandparents. You know, you have that bloodline of people in your life that are all saved. And I was like the only guy of my family who went the other way, you know. And and I don't really know why, because I went to church. I always went to church, but I believed the stories, but I didn't know what to do with them. Like I knew it was kind of true. I knew God existed. I knew it in my head, but I didn't really know what to do with it. I didn't know who He was. Like, and but then I was really my family. They prayed for me a lot, and a lot of people prayed for me. And, and I was like, maybe this Jesus is. So maybe I need Him. And that is okay. Wait a minute here. We got to take a second. This is incredible. So. You're raised in a Christian family, your family's praying for you, and he goes to church every week. So let's go back a minute. So you're in church every week. You go to church, you've heard of who God is, He has a son, I'm sure you did Christmas and the Easter pageant, all the things people do. But here you are, and you still don't know who He is. That's what you're saying, right? You really didn't know who He was. And I like what you said, Quentin. You go, well, I had it in my head. That's so amazing, because you had a head knowledge of God, but there was no heart connection.
No, exactly.
And so you're in a Christian family, Christian home, Christian grandparents, blah, blah, blah. You're in church every week, but you're still out partying, getting high, drinking, and doing whatever, drunken, and doing whatever you want to do. Because you're living your own life.
Exactly.
And I think it was interesting, you also said, and I was the only man who wasn't saved in my family. And so... But isn't it, this is the key today, you're there all the time, and there was something missing, and that was your relationship with Jesus.
Exactly.
So keep going. This is very, it's good to stop though, because it's helping other people right now that are listening to the program. You're going, wait a minute, I think I'm seeing a pattern here with my kids. And at the end I'll have you pray for the people, but maybe there's a pattern that they're seeing, and like, wait a minute, we're all saved, the whole family's saved. They go to church, but they don't seem like, hey, is there that connection there? and you found it.
Yes, I did.
Jesus found you. He was waiting for you. But keep going here. This is good.
Yeah. So I was like, I told my parents like, I think I need Jesus. I think I need him. So. Well,
I'm just dying here. It's so good.
So I was.
Yeah, there's revelation. I think I might need him.
Yeah. Like I didn't have any hope left. So I was like, maybe like they told me about him all my life. So I went to church all my life, like I said, and so I was like, maybe he is. And when I looked at people like Matthias and people like you and all those amazing speakers, I was like, these people, they have something, you know, and they have something I want as well.
Yeah.
And I miss that. So I told Jesus like I gave Jesus more and more space in my life, more room in my life. And
there's a word, Jesus. We could write a book on that. I made and gave Jesus more room in my life. Yeah. That's powerful, Quintin.
Yeah. So he started to work more in my life as I gave him more room. So and that really changed my life, and I wanted to make the right decisions, and I wanted to quit smoking, quit drugs and alcohol, and just quit
party
with
life.
friends.
Yeah,
exactly. And but I just couldn't, because I was still bound to a lot of stuff, to all that stuff, to my past.
Yeah.
And but then you came.
Oh yeah. I've known you since you were a little boy.
Yeah.
When you say Matthias, it's Matthias Vandersteen, so people know, because they know who he is.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you came to a fire night. And
in January.
In January. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I really need her to pray for me. Yeah. And so that I can leave behind my past.
Wow.
And,
that's powerful.
Yeah, it is. And so you prayed for me.
Yes. Do you remember what happened though? On your hand?
Yeah. A piece of gold appeared on my hand.
But it was a big piece of gold. Yeah. It wasn't like a little gold flecks. It was like half the size of my nail.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm like, was that there before I prayed? You're like, no. I'm like, I think God's talking to you. I mean, that was. I don't have that all the time, so I thought,
So
very cool.
That was really cool. Yeah,
I thought so too. I still do. I love it because he gives us signs to let us know that he's there.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't really believe that was God at first, but then you told me, but
because I asked you, did you have it? I didn't have it. You saw my hands.
Yeah.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
I looked on the floor. I said, let's go look on the floor, right? I went up on the altar to look on the floor. Is there anything here? Is there anything on the floor? No.
Nothing.
Nothing. But when I touched you with oil from the bottle that somebody else was carrying, there was a gold, like a leaf, like a gold small, but it was good size. It wasn't little. And the Lord said, there's the golden nugget I've been digging for. That's what God said to me. Wow. You're that nugget hidden. He said I was like, Lord, I just came to give this kid a golden nugget, I guess, this young man, you know. Yeah. And because we're always here for many reasons, but
Wow, that's so cool.
Isn't that awesome? Because I was like, because when I always have like different manifestations from the Lord, because he'll bring you a sign. But I believe that you were the sign that night, not just the gold, but you were the sign, because I believe, Quintin, that there's a generation out there, and some of you may be in your 40s and 50s and even older, and you're out there and you're like going through what I call, the same old song and dance. You'll go to church, you'll hear the song, you'll worship, you pray, you endure it. A lot of people endure church, because sometimes there's no heart connection. And I think it's interesting, you can be in church all those years. I mean, you've been to church your whole life. And you go to church and be around the family gatherings all these years and still not have Jesus for yourself. I mean, that's so profound. When I tell people about it, I go, I said, he's going to be 18. I go, he's just an old soul. He's like this deep well of revelation, because you are. But it's interesting, because all the years that you were there, you learned. And then you connect the dots. You're drawing the lines and connecting the colored and the dots. And look what God did. So now you get saved. So you get water baptized, which I was so excited to hear. And all your family was there. That's very cool.
So that was amazing, and from then, like, my life has really changed from then. And
so there is something, I'm just saying for a reason, because some people are like, water baptism, whatever. No, it's important.
It is not just symbolic, it's really spiritual.
It's very spiritual.
Very powerful.
Yeah. So that's so cool. So you get baptized, and you've been on the run really ever since January.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yes.
And you're happy.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Much happier than I was. Yeah, there's so much difference. Like sometimes I meet old friends of mine, and they can't believe what they see. Yeah. Like they're like, what? That's not you, you know? And they really see the difference. Everyone sees the difference, and it's amazing what God has done. It's so amazing. I'm really thankful.
It's exciting though, right? Because you have seasons where you're kind of sitting, and then other seasons you're running, and other seasons you're fighting, and you go through all these dynamics. And I think there are a couple keys here today that I'd like to bring out. But again, you went through so much, and you made the right choice to come to Christ. Yeah. And now He's utilizing you, because I really know you're called. You're going to be one of the most amazing revivalist evangelists this world has ever seen. You're really a Joshua that has been hidden in the tent, and God's going to use you to go out and bring multitudes into Him. Because I know you have a lot of giftings, but I really sense by the Lord that is your gift, is to be the soul winner, to travel and see people get saved and healed and set free like Matt and I do. You know, that's really your desire. And so as you're growing, and I'm excited because he has his own channel with us, and he's just getting started, you know, and there's something about that, because you have an opportunity to be a voice for your generation, which you're already impacting here, but now you're being seen in different nations because of the TV that we have. And so it's just funny how God just works in such mysterious ways. He says that. But I want to take this now for a minute and shift it a little bit. What would you say to people? Because we had dinner last night with all the families, so we had so much fun. We always do, though, when we come together. And we had dinner, and but we had time to talk and stuff. And I asked you, what is the one thing, you know, that maybe people you sense are dealing with? And you started talking to me about the spirit of fear, right? So is it okay? Let's talk for that for a few minutes, and then we'll get ready and pray for the people here. Yep, good. So, what are some of the things that you sense and know, because you're young? So, what do you perceive by that? What do you pick up about that spirit of fear?
I'm sorry. What?
Okay, so the spirit of fear. So it's terrorizing. It's crippling. It'll hold you back and keep you bound. But so let me ask you a few questions then. So on your generation, do you think that there's like a lot of fear?
Yeah, I do, definitely. Yes.
And this is Christians and non-Christians, yes?
Yeah, both, I think,
Okay, this is good. Let's keep rolling with this, okay? Because it's important. Because I wanted you to come here, because I know you just came home from school to get right over here. And I was like, no, you have to, because I'm always like very booked until I have to get back on the plane soon again. And so, but it was really important, because when we talked a little yesterday about the spirit of fear and how people are going through it, but these are Christians. And young people are dealing with that spirit of fear. And 2 Timothy says, you know, I haven't given you a spirit of fear, but on a power, love, sound mind. In the Greek is self-controlled. And it's really about, I call it getting rid of that stinking thinking and getting your mind renewed in Christ. Romans 12:1 and 2 talks about crucifying flesh. And you said that in the opening, well, I made room for Jesus. So that said to me immediately, crucifying the flesh. You could have done other things. No, I'm crucifying the flesh. Hello, listen out there. It's important to the audience, because some of you need to crucify your flesh. And Romans 12:2 goes on to say, but be renewed in the mind, having on the new man, the new thought. And that takes time, because why? Because you have to make room for God. And he said, I haven't given you a spirit of fear. You know, but fear is the false evidence that appears real. It's not real. And he always makes himself look bigger, because he'll tap into maybe something of the past of someone. So let's take a minute here and talk about, you know, for the Christians, because the kids are getting hit. Our kids are back in school right now, but they're getting hit already by fear and just all the different things that are happening. They're fear of man's opinion. Let's take a minute, because that's one of the fruits off the tree of fear. It's a demonic spirit. Yeah. So it's a stronghold, and it's a real stronghold. So the spirit of fear, some of the fruit is a fear of man's opinion. So you guys deal with that too, like as adults, people, but I think it's important, because I think that sometimes, parents and people and the Christians, maybe circles, sometimes forget
yeah, exactly.
that y'all are still, you kids, you young people are dealing with the same struggles that the adults deal with. Seriously, right? So what do you sense with that,
Yeah, well, my own struggle, what my own struggle was and still is like the opinion of people, like you said, like...
That's off the spirit of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is.
Like when I'm, like sometimes I really have the desire to tell people about Jesus or something, and then, or share my faith with people, share about the love of God, but then I'm immediately in my mind I go like, oh no, what would those people think if I would say that? And that's really what I think a lot of Christians struggle with.
I think so, young and old, every age. And I feel like, honestly, this year it's gotten stronger.
Yeah.
It's really odd, right? But that spirit's like on overtime right now. Because fear will operate, and it releases a power, which is chaos, and chaos is everywhere.
Yeah.
And God says, but I'm releasing, and where there's chaos, I release my glory.
Yeah.
And the only way the glory gets there is because we're called to be donkeys. We're called to be glory carriers of His light.
Yes.
Right? And He says, arise and shine, Isaiah says, for my light is come and my glory is upon you. And it doesn't matter if you're 50 or 80 or 90 or 100, or if you're 18 or 15 or 12. Everyone's going to deal with it, Spirit of fear comes in a man's opinion, or they're fearful, what do I say? And I never know what I'm going to ever do until I get to where I'm at. Because I get real trippy and stressed. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to prepare. And for years, and my husband's like, I journal everything. So I have, 20 big crates filled with journals that I go back and look at.
Yeah.
And they remind me of where I used to be and where I'm at, but I also have journals of where I'm going.
Wow.
And that's to take the world by storm, And we're going to have to really contend for the faith right now.
Yes.
And on January 1st of 2017, the Lord really spoke to me with the word, and He said, daughter, it's out of 1 Corinthians 6:2, and He says, but my time of favor is now.
Wow.
Oh yes, God, let the rain hit. But He says, my time of favor is now. And that's really what I was going to open with today. God says, tell my people it's time for the latter rain out of Haggai. It's time for that latter rain, the latter glory, a brighter light to shine. Because darkness is getting darker.
Yeah.
And without the light shining, or without us preaching the Christ, Jesus. And some people get sometimes kind of crazy, like mixed up and scared, because they don't know how to approach someone.
Yeah.
Like, this is honest. I have people tell me, Ange, I have bought so many DVDs and so many CDs and so many of this, and I'm so kind of confused on how to evangelize. And I said, well, it's not complicated. You just have to have the word in you, and then you get out there and you take the people. I've always taken people, because it's easier for me. I can teach you 50 things, but now let me go show you how. I do a show and tell, I call it. I've showed you, now go tell it.
Exactly.
It's like the kids have this little string thing would say show and tell back. They still have them for little toddlers. But I think that we have to have a childlike faith and be toddlers for Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And to do the pull and the you show them and you tell them.
Yeah.
But you have to be around people that are movers and shakers. I always tell people, move and shake and get out of my way, because I'm commissioned by God.
Yeah.
And that's what happened when you got, baptized that day, is God commissioned you.
Yeah, exactly.
That you will thrive, trust me. Because this is your time. And that's where you're contending for. Because, some people say, well, I remember when I first started evangelizing, people would say, well, did you say this, this, and this? And I said, no. I personally, I can't do tracks. I've tried. I had my own tracks made. Try Jesus. I mean, it wasn't real complicated. Because most people are trying their own way and it's not working.
No, exactly.
Like you said, I've been to church, I've been there, done that, and I made room for Jesus. And so, does that sound right, what I just said about the struggles? Like, people are like, well, now what?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Now what's my next phase? How do I do that? What do I do?
Yeah.
Because it's, people could, it's easy. I write books and I have teachings and stuff on spiritual warfare or seeing and, healing or how to do different things, because we have to be very, very versatile in our teachings and training up. But my whole heart's desire is evangelism.
Yeah.
They go, what are you? I'm like, I'll be whatever you want me to be. But I'm just a donkey Jesus rides in. And how about you?
Yeah.
The reason that people really aren't getting saved or the numbers aren't growing, like when I flew here on 9/11, 2017. I flew in here on 9/11. And people at the airport, we had more security and everything else. And people said, it's 9/11? I'm like, yes, I do. And he said, why would you fly on 9/11? I said, because as I'm flying through the spheres, I said, I want to change the atmosphere through prayer, because prayer changes the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Quintin, my whole flight in, I have never, and I've been traveling full-time for over 27, 30 years, full-time. And I've never hit turbulence like I hit coming here. And yes, in the natural, there's storms going on in America and overseas, and hurricanes and earthquakes, and we're having great devastation right now. But the earth is in travail right now.
Yeah.
Because, people say, do you think Jesus will be here in 30 years? Absolutely. But I pray he waits an extra year so we can get more people brought into the kingdom. Exactly. I'm always like, God, if I got to go, let me take as many with me as I'm going up as I can. But the turbulence was so wicked coming in, and Lord said, daughter, the heavens are in a great battle. There's a great battle of dark and light. Yeah. And that's what's happening. The sons of light are battling the sons of darkness. And there's that battle going on, battle. But we've already won the war. But I believe that it's time to get up and evangelize. I just want to say this for ministers out there. Sometimes I think that as parents, we don't forget about our own children as pastors. But because we have youth leaders and children's ministries. I mean, I did church for 17 years. I had a few of them, and now we've expanded. I oversee all the other churches now, because it's the next step of my DNA. But it was that part at that time. And but I tell you, the one thing I always made sure is that the kids even went out and evangelized. They were 6 and 7 years old. My kids were leading. My kids led people in school, and they were in kindergarten to Jesus. Our daughter, Wendy, her first child she ever led was in kindergarten. The kid was a Jehovah's Witness. She led him to the Lord. Our son, too, we just had them because we wanted to instill that in them. And they're both all about evangelizing souls into the kingdom. Wow. And that was what I wanted to impart. I didn't have that growing up as a Christian. I didn't have any of that. My family lived in darkness, and I was in darkness, and I served darkness until I got saved. Yeah. And then had that great awakening and that great light come in. And I always think about that, for the harvest is, plentiful, but the laborers are few. Yeah, exactly. But God promised me, we're stepping in right now, Rosh Hashanah, and the Jewish year is 5778. We're coming out of 5777, which had to all do with the sickle and the harvest last year. But the Lord said this year that it's 5778, and the number 57 has to do with Isaiah 57. Tear down the wicked strongholds, the Asher poles, the mediums. Tear down the psychics, tear down the lies. You know how they're going to get torn down? Because light will come where darkness is. And that's what you did. Like you've been in, like when you went to school. Yeah. I want you to take a few minutes and then we'll just shift this, but I would like you to share. We had gone in, I was here a few months ago, so we went and preached, and when we were coming in, you shared about a young man you prayed for his foot. Yeah. But I like the dynamic of the story. Would you mind sharing that? Because I believe it's going to encourage not just the young people, but the older people too.
Yeah, okay. So I was at school, and there was a guy who had trouble with his foot, and I saw that in on the way he walked, and so I went to him and I said, hey, can I pray for your foot? Or I first asked him, what's wrong with your foot? And he said, yeah, I have pain. I can't remember exactly, but and so I asked him, can I pray for you? And it was kind of out of nowhere, and I like it. Yeah, and but then he said, yes, that would be interesting, and I was like, well, interesting. It's just gonna get healed probably, and so I think he just wondered I think he was just like, well, I wonder how he's gonna pray or something. He didn't really believe that, of course. Yeah. Like, he was not a Christian, but so he was like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know you were gonna say yes. So yeah,
that was such a bold step of faith. I love it.
It was just it really was out of nowhere. But and so then I was thinking a lot, and I was like a few hours later, I was still with him on school, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it right now. So I was like preparing to pray or something, and so I prayed for his foot, and he just got healed during the break. And
oh my gosh!
Yeah, so he was like, "What is going on?" And it felt hot, and he didn't know what was happening. So then he just left. He just walked away, and I didn't see him for the rest of the day. And he was freaked out.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
You know why I love the story? Because you stepped out in faith, and then you have that revelation, and you're like, "What?
Yeah.
I could pray for you," and then you're like, "Oh my God, do I have what it takes?" And the Lord says, "Yes," because it doesn't come from you; it comes through you. That's the greatest lesson I ever learned. It doesn't come from me; it comes through me.
Yeah, exactly.
But it can't come through me if I don't make room for Him to have that time.
Yeah.
So God was able to use you. And I loved it that, he's in school and he's not saved or understands the Christian quote, lingo.
Yeah.
Can I pray for you? And so, and you stepped out in faith and did it because you saw a need. See, and I feel like today that's the whole premise of this program is that, do you see a need? I'm sure you do. Like, people have needs, their families are hurting, their kids. But I believe the greatest need that we have is Jesus.
Yeah.
And that connection, God says, I want to release to you the spirit of adoption that you cry out, Abba, Father. So many go to church every day and every week, and some in the Catholic realm they go every day, and some churches they go every week, a couple times a week. But is there that heart connection? And I think sometimes the people have the spirit of fear on them. It's not that they don't have great faith, but it's going to be part of a training. Like, I teach that in my gladiator schools.
Yeah.
I teach in my trainings on, you're going to have fear. If you think that it's going to go away, it won't, because you're always going to have to step into that next level. And Quintin, every time you step into a new ground, I call it new level, new devil. Every time you take another step into that next level, which you are in right now, you're stepping into another level. You have to kind of pull back a little bit and look around, assess what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll start to question yourself, but at the right time you'll get up and you'll go.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we're going to be able to enlarge territory and take the kingdom by storm. Because the kingdom of heaven suffer violent, and the violent, John the Baptist says in Matthew, takes it by storm.
Yes.
And I believe that we have got it. And so 57 but 78, God says, in 57, 78, which happens next week, Rosh Hashanah, God said, I'm getting ready to storm the gates. And I just recently put out a word, and I'm telling you on the picture, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of locks where the enemy has kept everybody bound and kept them back. And God said, but unless my people go, they're never going to have their freedom. They're never going to get set free. Because in Revelation 3, the enemy stands, it says, behind the enemy's gate. He is the enemy. He stands behind the gate. And I feel like that enemy's kind of like Goliath. He's like up and down, day and night, night and day. And he is like taunting us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And saying, really, is your God? Can he really heal you? Can you really do this? And you're like, yeah. Yes, he can. So I want you to take a few minutes, whatever's in your heart, but I want you to pray, or if you get a word for someone. Because I know you also operate in healing, not just because of that healing, but I hear that by the Lord too. He said, I feel honestly, what I sense, why I was hoping anyway, I would do this 1,000 days with you, is, but I just sense also that parents are feeling hopeless. Like their kids are in trouble. Yeah. And they don't know what to do. They take them to church. They make them go to church. They try. And it seems like they're falling backwards. So I want you to take the time, and then I'll close out at the end. But take a few minutes, whatever, and
Okay.
Please, talk to the people right now.
Okay, do you want me?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Just if you have a prayer, and you can pray in your language. His English is very good, but you are a Dutchman. Part of the I'm a Dutchman. Something to look at. It's very interesting. But you can pray in your language, whatever is in your heart. But I hear you when you pray. It's going to bring connection, like this heart-to-heart connection for the families. Because parents are like my sons. All my life, my son and daughter, they've gone to church, they've gone to Bible, they've gone to, Christian school, blah, blah, blah. They're walking away, they're getting high and drinking, and your parents stood in the gap for you. I feel like you're going to stand and pray to help bring them hope today.
Yeah.
That's what I hear the Lord saying. So that's why I said you can speak in English if you want, or your language.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm going to do it in my language.
I think you're supposed to. I feel that's more in the spirit, like, gonna mess with all your grid. Go ahead.
Oké, vader, op dit moment dank u wel, vader, voor ouders die het kijken. Vader, ik wil op dit moment bidden, Heer. Ik vraag u of u nieuw geloof wilt vrijzetten, vader. Nieuw geloof voor ouders, Heer, dat hun kinderen u gaan vinden, vader. Vader, zet op dit moment nieuw geloof vrij in elke ouder die kijkt, vader, op dit moment in Jezus' naam. Ja, Heer, dank u wel, vader, dank u wel. Want ja, Heer, net zoals ik heb ook mijn leven gegeven aan Jezus op een gegeven moment. U heeft mij uw genade laten zien, vader. En ik geloof voor elke ouder die dit kijkt, elke volwassene die dit kijkt, die ook een kind heeft, Heer, die is afgedwaald, of die lijkt afgedwaald. Ik geloof dat God ook diezelfde genade wil laten zien aan uw kind. En aan elk kind dat is afgedwaald, dat nog niet Jezus kent, die nog geen relatie heeft met Jezus. En op dit moment, Heer, wilt u nieuw geloof vrijzetten, vader, en wilt u uw genade uitstorten op elk kind, vader, op dit moment in Jezus' naam. Laat uw genade zien, vader, in Jezus' naam. In Jezus' naam. Amen.
I know a little Dutch, not a lot, but I know dank u wel.
Dank u wel.
Thank you, Father.
Yes.
And I heard prayers of thankfulness. Because when you start to change your mindset, instead of being hopeless, you become thankful.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what I felt through the prayer. It had to do with hope and thankfulness. And I saw, I heard kinder, which is kids, but I heard the Lord saying, I'm restoring now. Sons and daughters are coming home. Your prodigals. Don't give up. Don't give up hope. Keep praying no matter how bad it looks. Because it only look like that for a time, and then that season will be over, and then they'll be able to start to walk with the Father. Listen, whatever you're going through right now, remember just a couple keys today. God is able. God is able. And God is able. And you can do all things through Jesus who strengthens you. Some of you want to give up hope. God says, don't give up hope, but hold on, I'm coming. So I just want to bless you. And say your full name so I say your last name correct.
Quintin van der Bijl.
Well, see, I knew I wasn't going to be able to say that. Van der Vel, is that right?
Van der Bijl.
Oh, I won't be able to say that. Okay.
Bijl is Dutch for X.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Woo! Whereas The Rock says, I'm getting ready to smell what The Rock is cooking. It's a wrestling term. Yeah. Like that. That's what I felt when you said that. And he also has a channel with us on Kingdom Invasion Media Army. And you're going to be getting to see him more as he expands out in the ministry. But I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you for being here. It's been such an honor. I'm so honored. And Quintin, this is my dream and desire. That someday I'm going to grow up and be just like you. Have a great week. Remember to pray for your pastors. Bless someone today. And remember, you are blessed. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Jesus came so that we would have the fullness of who he is. We take the deliverance and the power and the authority of Jesus Christ in and bring the light in. Every day I make a choice. We should possess heaven and pull it down and bring it here on earth.
not you, then who? And if not now, God wants to know, then when?